Hello friends, welcome to my English classroom. I am your English teacher Sheikh Rafi. Today in this video, I am going to start yet another lesson from 4th unit of your English textbook. Let us quickly recall the theme of this unit. Yes, the theme is something which you all like very much. It is films and theatres. In my previous video, I told you the importance of films and theatres. I told you that they are like mirrors of any society. Films and theatres, they reflect the culture and tradition of any country. So from this point of view, films and theatres become a very important aspect of our learning. As part of this unit, in my previous class, we completed a reading where we learnt about a very famous Indian director, Satyajit Ray. Today in this video, I am going to start B reading. Now this lesson is again a very interesting lesson that speaks about a very famous film, Maya Bazaar. So without waiting further, let us start the lesson. If you look at the title of the lesson, this doesn't need any introduction. It is Maya Bazaar, one of the very famous Telugu classical movie. So this lesson is actually a review of the film Maya Bazaar, which was published in the Hindu newspaper in the year 2007. So let us start learning this lesson. I want all of you to open page number 130 of your textbook. Page number 130, be reading Maya Bazaar. K.V. Reddy's Maya Bazaar has been voted as the greatest Indian film in an online poll conducted by a television news channel. So at the very outside, the author tells us that we are talking about one of the greatest films, the film Maya Bazaar, and in an online poll conducted by a news television channel, this film was chosen as the greatest films of India. The film was made by K.V. Reddy. The poll was conducted to find out India's greatest film till date on the occasion of 100 years of Indian cinema, and people chose Maya Bazaar over other Indian classics. So this is a classic Indian film. Lots of films are there. We have films in different languages, but when we compare all these films, people voted for Maya Bazaar as the greatest Indian film. And what was the occasion? It was 100 years of Indian cinema. The film is considered one of the enduring classics of Indian cinema and was christened a landmark achievement in Indian film's cinematography, art direction and VFX with the available technology during that time. Now that is the greatness of this film. The film was a masterpiece in terms of direction, in terms of cinematography and in terms of the VFX. VFX here actually stands for visual effects. So using that technology, this is a film which was released in and around 1957, so long back. At that time the technology was not developed, so using that old technology and producing a film like this was really a great achievement, and this film is considered as enduring classic of Indian cinema. Now what do you mean by enduring? Enduring means lasting for a long time. So this film has stood the test of time. Then we have another word. The film has been christened. It means it has been named or it has been called as landmark achievement. Landmark means a very important achievement, a turning point in the Telugu film industry. The following is a review on the film when it celebrated the Golden Jubilee in the year 2007. So this film is actually a review, and we are going to read the review of the film which was published in the year 2007. Now, what was the occasion? It was the Golden Jubilee celebration of this film. Golden Jubilee is celebrated when a film completes 50 years, right? At the time of 25 years, we celebrate Silver Jubilee. So 50 years is really a long time. Generations change, right? Let us continue further. See there, they have given Maya Bazaar forever, right? Definitely the film is forever. Generations have passed, almost 2 generations. Now this is the present, the 3rd generation that is watching this film. So Maya Bazaar forever. They have given a beautiful picture there. You can see there. It is the film being shot. You can see the camera, the directors, producers and the heroine on the set. Let us see the lesson. 50 years ago, director K.V. Reddy, or for that matter, producer Nagi Reddy and Chakrapani would not have imagined what they were unleashing when they decided to make Maya Bazaar a bilingual in Telugu and Tamil. Now that is what happens. When we are making a film, we don't know how the film will go in the market, what success the film will achieve. Now here, the director K.V. Reddy as well as the producers Nagi Reddy and Chakrapani, when they were unleashing means releasing the film, they never thought that this film is going to become a landmark film. This film is going to break all the records. So they didn't know these things, and the film was released bilingual. Bilingual means it was released in 2 languages, that is Telugu and Tamil. Let us see further. The finished product hit the screen in 1957 to become a landmark movie in the Telugu film industry. The finished product. Now here the finished product means the film itself, right? The production of the film was going on. When the production was completed, it is called finished product. So the finished product hit the screen in 1957 to become a landmark movie. As I told you, landmark means very important movie in Telugu film industry. It became a hit not only for the sterling performances of the star ensemble that it had, right from S.V. Rangarao, Savitri, NTR, ANR and Gummadi, but also because K.V. Reddy was in full control over every frame of it. Now here, the author talks about the first reason for the film to be a super hit, for the film to be a landmark movie. And what is that reason? It was because of the sterling performances. Sterling performance means excellent performance, acting of the stars. Now, who were the stars in this movie? They were S.V. Rangarao, Savitri, NTR, ANR and Gummadi. Now, these were the leading actors of that time, and all of them were in this film. And besides that thing, it was also the efforts of the director K.V. Reddy. He had full control over every frame of it. Students, we know that the success of any movie depends on the director. You know, when we watch some films, we feel that, oh, the first half of the film was slow, the second half was fast, or the first half of the film was very entertaining, the second half of the film was dull. You know why these things happens? It all happens because the directors fail to take the film at the same flow when they are making it. Now that is absolutely the capability of the director which makes the film really successful. We know many such directors. Let us see further. There is little else one could expect when all times great like Marcus Bradley for cinematography, Ghandasala as a music director, M.L. Vasantakumari, Leela, Susila and Madhava Peddi playback singers, Gokhale as an art director, and Pasumarthi choreography, and Pitambaram as a makeup artist, got together to wave magic around an episode from Mahabharata, that is Sasirekha Parinayam. So another reason, the first reason was the stars assembled and their sterling performances which made the film successful. The second reason was the all-time great people who were part of this film. Now we come to know about Marcus Bradley, who was the cinematographer, the person who actually deals with photography and picturization, that is operating the camera of the film. Then Ghantasala, we know that he is a very, very famous music director. Then M.L. Vasantakumari, Leela, Susila and Madhava Peddi, they were all the singers in the film. Gokhale as an art director, Pashumarthi as choreography, and Pitambaram the makeup artist. And all these great people together came and waved the story. They were there making the entire film. And what was this film about? This film is not about Mahabharata, right? This film takes only one episode, one scene from the entire Mahabharata, that is Sasirekha Parinayam. So here we know Sasirekha is one of the important character in Mahabharata, whereas Parinayam refers to the marriage. So this movie is totally about the marriage or wedding of Sasirekha. See the next para. However, the greatness of Maya Bazaar is about which much is said and written is not just because of these facets alone. So author once again says here that the film was a great hit, and the reason is, number one, the sterling performances of the actors. Number two, the all-time great people were in part of this movie. And he says not only these two facts, but there are many other reasons which make this film a landmark movie. Now what is that fact? See it. He says it is a tribute to Telugu culture, language and customs of the land. Now that is what we discussed in the very beginning when we talked about the theme of this unit. I told you that films and theaters, they reflect the tradition, culture of any society. Now this film was also a tribute. Now what do you mean by tribute? The films was like admiration. The film was like a thank giving. The film was like showing gratitude towards the culture, tradition and the language of this land, the land of Telugu. The film was watched repeatedly soon after its release because people identified every character of the film with someone they knew in their immediate vicinity, and the audience still do the same now. Now, this is what we have to understand. Why does a film become a hit? Film becomes a hit because people like it. Now, why do people like it? People like films when they are able to associate themselves with the film. Now that was a peculiar characteristic of the film Maya Bazaar. In this film, there were so many numbers of characters that every person who watched the film was able to associate himself with the character in the film. So when the film was going on, people used to think as if the character in the film is a real character, a character who actually existed in their close vicinity, in their close surroundings. Now that is where people got attached to the film and they watched the film repeatedly again and again. Right? Now that's a important thing that we have to understand why films become successful. That is why even nowadays when the films are released, they try to target specific audience. They try to target youth. They try to target families. They try to target society. Because once people start attaching themselves to the movie, you know, that film automatically becomes a hit. Now we understand that there are different reasons why the film Maya Bazaar was a successful film. We know it was because of, number one, the great actors and their sterling performances. Number 2, all-time great people were part of the film. And number 3, the film was a tribute to Telugu culture, Telugu tradition and the language itself. Moreover, all the people were able to attach themselves. They were able to associate themselves with the characters in the film. So we can say that the characters in the film were realistic characters. And that is the reason people showed their love to the film and made it a landmark all-time hit movie. Let us see further. The dialogues written by Pingali Nagendra Rao as well as the lyrics were the same that the people were hearing or using in their conversation every day. Now that is another important feature of the films. The dialogues of the films. Actually, the film is an episode from Mahabharata. People thought that he may use, a very sophisticated language. No, it wasn't like that. The film comes in a very, very lucid language. The language which is spoken by a common man. The language that can be easily understood by a common man. Such were the dialogues and the lyrics. See further. If not, those became a part of Telugu life thereafter. The dialogues were such that everyone was able to understand it. They were actually taken from the society itself. Now the dialogues became so famous that they become part of the society thereafter. Now what were those dialogues? Let us see some of the dialogues given there. Sasirekhas ne ghatotkacha manadi sodara prema. Now that was a famous dialogue which was become a common word in Telugu culture. So Sasirekhas ne Gadotkachas Manadi Sodara Prema became immortalized as much as Surya Kantams. Now another dialogue of Surya Kantam. What is that? Anta Alamalame Kada, right? Which has become a way of life in greeting people. Generally in Telugu, when we greet people, what do we say? We say Namaskaram Andi. We say Bagundarandi. But here, after this film, a new dialogue came to greet people. Anta alamalame kada. So in this way, we can see that this film actually brought lot of new things to the language itself. Let us see further. As far as songs, see the songs of this movie. Ahana Pellanta. Oh God, we know this song. We hear it almost at every marriage that we attend. As for songs, Ahana Pellanta still reverberates in marriages, and Vivaha Bhojanambo is yet another must. Now these two songs, they reverberates. What do you mean by reverberates? People are not able to forget. Every marriage, these songs must be played there. So we can hear these two songs. What are those? Ahana Pellanta and Vivaha Bhojanambo. They are must and should in every marriage. So to that level, this film had its impact on the society. I hope even you would have heard these songs. They are very funny and really showing the Telugu culture. Let us continue further. An entire repertoire was added to the Telugu dictionary by the film. An entire repertoire. Repertoire here means a list of things to be done. Lot of things were added because of this film to the Telugu industries. Take for example, Talpam. Now here the author gives you a word in the film, Talpam. Talpam used for denoting a cot or a bed. We know that thing. Talpam means a cot or a bed. Where Telugu using Gilpam as antonym of it till the movie's advent. Now here it is a question. In this movie, they used Gilpam as opposite of Talpam. Now before that, nobody knew this word. It was only after this film came that this word was accepted in Telugu language as an antonym of Talpam. Talpam, Gilpam. See further. Nor did anyone tell so emphatically until Ghatotkacha దట్ ఎవరు పుట్టించుకుంటే మాటలెలా పుడతాయి, ఎవరు పుట్టించుకుంటే మాటలెలా పుడతాయి. Now that was a famous dialogue that was very very emotionally expressed by Ghadotkacha in the film, which became a very important part of Telugu language. And hence, if friends are to be called Asamadhiyalu, then enemies could be termed Tasamadhiyulu. Now that is another word which was added to Telugu language because of the film. Asamadhiyulu, we know, it refers to friends. But what do you mean, what do you say about the opposite of Asamadhiyulu? The film gives us a word called Tasamadhiyulu. Will anyone forget the expression Veyandra Vidikoka Veeratadu? No exception to Hi Hi Sodara and Hi Hi Nayaka. So if you watch the film, you are going to find all these dialogues in the film which were very easily adapted by the people at that time. Let us see further. The story itself is woven around the love of Sasirekha and Abhimanyu. Now that is the theme of the film. It's a story. It's about the love of Sasirekha and Abhimanyu. We know that the theme of this lesson or this film is Sasirekha Parinayam. We are talking about wedding of Sasirekha, and here we see that Sasirekha and Abhimanyu were in love. So what happens? The story itself is woven around the love of Sasirekha Abhimanyu, with Krishna and Balarama having differences of opinion over it. Oh, now that is the complexity in the story, right? Krishna and Balarama, both are brothers, and they were having opposite opinions about the marriage. Now what were the opinions? Let us see further. Their wives to take the sides, as is inevitable in any family. Their wives, that is wife of Krishna and wife of Balarama, even they also take opposite stands. Now that is a tradition in Indian culture, right? In Indian culture, we find that wife always takes the side of her husband, though her husband may be wrong. Now this is what we say, that films depict the culture of the society. So here also, when Krishna and Balarama were having opposite opinion about the wedding of Sasirekha, even their wives, they took opposite sides. Now what happens? To introduce the theme, the director uses a magic box, an equivalent of TV screen, which displays whatever is dear to the viewer's heart. Now when this film starts, it actually starts with the showing a magic box. Now what is that magic box? You can see here in this picture, the heroine is opening a box. Actually that box, we can say it is equivalent to a TV screen, and that box will show you what is dear to your heart. It means whatever the viewer, whatever the person who is looking into the box, whatever he likes, the same thing will be shown by the magic box. So what happens at the time? Sasirekha naturally sees Abhimanyu. So when Sasirekha looks into the box, she sees Abhimanyu, and Balarama gets to see his Sishya Duryodhana on it. When Balarama sees into that magic box, he likes his Sishya, his disciple. Who is that? Duryodhana. So naturally Balarama sees Duryodhana in that screen. See what happens further. His wife, that is Balarama's wife, his wife laps up the sight of an array of jewelry, and the audience laughed heartily because they knew that someone back home was equally attached to the riches. Now this is something that happens when Balarama's wife looks into the magic box. When she looks into the magic box, what does she see? She sees the arrays of jewelry. Arrays means rows of jewelry. Why? Why does she see rows of jewelry? Because that woman was crazy about gold. She was crazy about jewelry. We know that in India, every woman love jewelry. So naturally, when Balarama's wife sees jewelry in the magic box, the audience, they know that even at their home, they have such a person who is crazy, who is mad about jewelry. Right? Even in your family, you can observe either your mother, either or your sister, or someone, the female member in the family, they are crazy about jewelry. So see, these are the scenes that were particularly liked by the people. When Balarama curtly tells his sister, Subhadra, Agadalu, Aghyatyalu, Naku Panikiravu, when he was confronted with the latter's indignation at his decision to separate Sasirekha and Abhimanyu. Now that is another scene when Balarama's sister doesn't like the opinion of Balarama. Right? Sasirekha wanted to marry Abhimanyu, but Balarama wanted Sasirekha to marry his Sishya Duryodhana. Now this thing was not liked by Subhadra. So Balarama talks very strictly, sternly to Subhadra, and he says, Subhadra, Agadalu, Aghaityalu, Naku Paniki Ravu. Now when a brother talks rough and tough or sternly to his sister, how other people reacted to this scene is something that we should see. See what happens? Women folks among the viewers' side recalling their own tribulations in the hands of such brothers. So in the film, when Balarama was talking sternly, harshly to his sister, the women audience, even they were recalling their own brother. Even in their homes, there was one such brother who was stern like Balarama. So men are getting associated with the film, youth is getting associated with the film, women are getting associated with the film. Frames after frames impacts viewers with similarities. So frames after frame during the entire film, this is the same. The greatness of the director lies here. He successfully reduced all characters to ordinary mortals, displaying all the follies of human beings except Ghatotkacha and Krishna. Now that is the greatness of the director. Actually, when we talk about the characters of Mahabharata, they are, more than the real characters. Right? They are almost considered gods and goddesses in Indian culture. But the director's creativity in this film is that he made those characters look like very common characters. And even doing the follies or the foolishness or the silly things which common people do. So that is how he changed the characters and brought in front of the people in such an ordinary way. Let us see further. And then he injects into Yadava household a Telugu atmosphere full with simile, imagery, adage, sarcasm and wit. Now that is another greatness of the director. Mahabharata, when we talk about it, actually shows the culture of North, the Yadava families. Right? But here in Yadava family, we see the Telugu culture, and the director beautifully brought all the simile. Simile here stands for comparison, right? We know that these are all the tools of literature, imagery, adage, sarcasm and wit. All these elements were very aptly introduced in this Yadava culture. So that is the greatness of the director. And all the efforts of the director gives us a result. What is the result? The result, a feast for the eyes and soul. Feast means a festival. When you watch the film, it's a feast for your eyes as well as your soul. It gives happiness to all your senses. That is Maya Bazaar for you. Mind you, this is the story of Pandavas and Kauravas with the Yadavas pitching in, but one never sees the Pandavas throughout the film, we only hear of them. So here again the author clarifies that the film is actually an episode from Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, we have Pandavas, Kauravas and Yadavas. But when you watch the film, we don't find Pandavas there. Right? It is only mentioned here and there, we get their names, but the characters actually don't enter the scene. And the film rotates around the main episode, the episode of Sasirekha Parinayam. If any NRI asks you to suggest ways to teach Telugu culture, just ask him or her to introduce them to Maya Bazaar first. Now that's a beautiful statement given there. And the author says, if any NRI, who is an NRI? A non-resident of India, right? An Indian, a Telugu person from India who had been living abroad for many years. And if he comes to India and if he asks you to teach Telugu culture, you need not teach him the Telugu culture. You just suggest him, watch Maya Bazaar. And if he watches Maya Bazaar, he can learn the Telugu culture. So that is why the author calls it Maya Bazaar as a tribute to Telugu culture, traditions and language. So you can suggest, if you have any NRIs living abroad and they visit India and they want to know about Telugu culture, you can simply tell them to watch the film Maya Bazaar. Further, if they seek to know about their uncles and aunts and cousins back home, bring in their names, right? Suppose an NRI comes to you and he wants to ask you about his brothers, cousins, etc. You show them the film and say, look, this is your Balarama. So what are we doing? We can actually show the entire family with the help of the film. Any better way of doing it? Is there any better way? Is there any other way that we can teach the entire culture to a newcomer or a person who has come from a foreign country? The best way is to show him such films which are a tribute or which reflect the true culture of the society. Then onwards, it's all lahiri, lahiri, lahiri lo. And that is how the lesson ends. With that, we come to the end of this lesson. I hope all of you enjoyed this lesson. Children, you would have understood how a film truly reflects the culture and tradition of any society and how films are made great and successful. Hope you all understand that thing. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching it.